morning. We can do better. Good morning. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. So this is an amazing event that we have people from all over the world. Maybe, how many people here are from Europe? Look at that. Look at that. How about Asia? Nice, nice. The Americas, like North America, we got something there. A little bit of that. Australia, what about that? I know we have some, there we go. Yeah, great. It's an amazing moment in NetLeader's history and the history of what we're doing here. We were here 1 year ago in Dubai for the first time, and I want to recognize who in here was in that first meeting a year ago. Can you stand up, actually? These are our pioneers. These are pioneers. Really, yeah, really warm round of applause. I want to recognize how we are creating. So we're all here about, blockchain is a big protocol that creates trust in an open network. But this group, what we're creating is an open network. It's as open as the most open distributed networks of technology. But this is a network of people, and so that group that just was standing. They were the beginning of a chain very similar to a blockchain. It's a chain of trust. That's really what we're forming here. And I think it's really important that we all recognize that is what we're leveraging, that's what we're building on, is that trust. The early people that came here, I mean, we'll go through that. There was a lot of people that have stepped forward back a year ago, we did not have a blockchain. It was not up yet. This was an affiliate program, so we had no real, truly incentivized marketing program, not the way we have it now. And we had no exchange going on, and yet there were leaders that were standing, and they saw the vision, and they decided to take a stand and grow this business. And that's the beginning of this trust chain. Now as we've delivered a lot in the last year. We've delivered a whole lot, and I'll go into that a little bit. But the way we began this, I think it's important that we recognize that we began it with, there's a vision, and then there was, trust. There was a trust that started from the very beginning. So the purpose of today, and we've got a really, really exciting day for you. I think that some announcements that are going to really blow you guys away. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a great day. And the day is really about leaders coming together and learning as much as possible so we can build this chain of trust. We want to spread, there's something really exciting going on with blockchain technology, and it is the opportunity to reset the incentive systems on which this entire world is built. We're in a system of incentives. That's how we've gotten here. And we now have the ability, usually a system like that is set by a nation state. Usually it is changed through a war or some sort of really bloody contact. But we now have, through technology, we have the ability to reset a system and align incentives to make this so that it's more about just one group that is extracting value, which is, I think, the system we live under is much more serving of a certain group and not the whole group. And there is a real research that confirms that there is a path. It goes to game theory. There is a path that the strategy for each individual is actually optimal. So each individual can take an optimal strategy, and the strategy, the most optimized strategy of the entire group, can be one and the same. So it takes the right incentives, it takes the right inducement for that behavior, and that's what we're in the process of creating. That's what's possible right now, and that's why this is a very remarkable time in history, because it's not up to a government to tell. We want to include the governments in what we're creating here, but it's not up to them. It's up to us as the participants in creating this system. We're putting together something that is going to serve the benefits of all of us, and that is a radical departure from where we are today. It's a good day in the world today. We want to make it a great day, and that's what we're going to do through this system. So back to this day, communication is a big part of our business. Culture is the DNA of where we're going with this. And then vision is what aligns us. We want to, and so today we're going to spend time on getting deeper into the vision here, so we're all aware of where we're going. And then we also want to talk about how to create a better culture. And I'm going to start by talking about communication and where we've been in the whole communication realm. Before I start this, I want to talk about the growth of this industry has been phenomenal in the past year. And so I want to go back to when we first started this. Back in, we did our first presentation in Kuala Lumpur, and we had a industry that was really, I can do the math off of the Bitcoin price. The industry was 10 billion at that moment. And as we moved to the leadership summit in Dubai this time last year, it was not that much bigger. It was 15, 20 billion in that realm, with Bitcoin being the majority of that. As we got into the launch of our blockchain, and the price started, that was the moment that the industry really started to wake up. The Japan moment within our industry happened in April 1st. So at that moment, the world started to take notice of this whole industry. But still there was, it was not until we just were in Tokyo that we had this phenomenal raise in value. And what is happening with this? Like, what is going on in the industry that people are taking notice of cryptocurrency? And obviously something is happening throughout the world. At this point, we've grown from, in the very beginning, 10 billion to 250 billion. $250 billion is represented in this industry, and I believe that is a number that is actually going to go vastly higher. It's a number that is where we believe, and I think all of us in here understand, that technology-based money is the future of where we're going. And the whole thing the opportunity that's before us all is what is going to be the system that really leads the world to this next level of prosperity. What does that system look like? And that's been what we've thought through and what we've put together. And I got to say that in our communication strategy and putting this all together, it's very much like everybody knows the Rubik's Cube. And so we took a lot of different ideas and put this together and took some paths that were not the norm, not the normal paths that were taken even within the industry. And I think we all know that. For example, our consortium blockchain. That idea is, I think, groundbreaking in terms of what its efficiency can yield for our system. But it's not recognized very well within the industry, and no one's talking about consortium blockchains in the industry right now. So it took a while for us to actually even determine what the language would be, how to actually create the right messaging on what it is we've been doing here. This is the forefront of an entirely new realm, and it's taken time to get the messaging right for this. Now, I think we've started to zero in on just some of the right ideas that we can use to grow this business. And I think it's, clearly the authenticated network is a big part of our story. And obviously the consortium blockchain, as I've said, but one of our major stories is the ecosystem. Like, nobody in the industry is talking about an ecosystem, with the exception of, I would say, Ethereum has the right idea about ecosystem. But it's an open ecosystem, and I think that ultimately the curated ecosystem like ours is really what gets us the efficiencies and gets the whole system. It's really about the cooperative nature of the ecosystem. If you think about it, Bitcoin has an ecosystem. It's developed naturally. And what we have with our ecosystem is a curated, integrated ecosystem. So we're working together in a way that where every piece of this ecosystem is building the value on every other piece. And collectively, the holders of DasCoin, which represents the store of all the value in the system, that value goes up. And so we are not aware of any ecosystem out there that is this very consciously integrated, cooperative, holistic ecosystem. But we think that is what really is going to deliver the power of this system. Certainly decentralized wallet, the decentralized access to the funds is a very big concept, and we've delivered on that with the validator. But the number one thing I think about what we're doing that we've never lost sight of, and we're really starting to fully understand it, is the people in our network. That's our real strength. That's the real strength of this whole system, is the people. And the way we have incentivized that is through this system of marketing. And this is where this group here, where the real power of this group is in that, we're all over the world. And when you have an understanding of our system and what the opportunities are in our system, and you can share those with someone else, and then they, in turn, can share those with someone else, that creates a chain reaction of, this is a more enlightened system. This is a system that's going to hold value better than any fiat currency system. This is a system that can change the lives of everyone that is involved with it. And so it's really important that we we get on the same page of music, that we understand how, how we're communicating. And that's been a challenge, but we're really starting to figure it out. And so this fourth quarter, so looking back, this time last year, as I said, we didn't have the blockchain, we didn't have the exchange that we have now, and we also were struggling about how to even tell our story. And that's been a struggle. But we have a new presentation that we are going to be introducing, and so we have this incredible team of marketing experts that are now part of our team. And many of you know them. These are the guys in London, James Elston, Ed Rosso. We have a phenomenal team that is looking at this business and went in deep on it. And we're going to deliver for everybody here this new presentation that is coming. We have in addition to that, we have new websites that are launching today, both for DasCoin and for net leaders. So are we ready for an uplifting new website for those two brands? Are you guys ready for that? I think what we've had has gotten us partly there, but I think where we can go, we're just getting better at compressing those messages and expressing those messages. And we want things to reflect this, what's really the core inside of this business. Now, we also have some new tools that are going to be introduced, some of them today. We have, for example, a new video that we're going to put. So you've seen the one that's on the current DasCoin site. We have a new video that's coming that I think we're trying to better embody that message. We want to extend to the world a message of who we are, and so we want to share what we're doing, and we want people to understand it. That's the whole idea here is gaining that understanding. That's why everyone is here today. Gaining an understanding, reinforcing that, cultivating that, and then sharing it. And that's how we spread. That's how we build this whole thing. And so these tools are going to be very helpful, I think, for everybody. We have some very special, easy to share tools that are coming. So be on the lookout. Whoops, let me go back there. Now, the one that's incredibly important, that is a glaring omission, and that I, apologize to we have 10 languages being spoken or translated into right now. And I really, really apologize that we have not, in the struggle to get our language right, to get the content right, it's taken us a while, and therefore we've waited to get to that point before we start replicating in all these different languages. So for that, I really appreciate how all of you have built your businesses with that language impediment. And I want to say to you here and now that struggle is over as of the end of this quarter, as of the end of this year. We are going to be translating into multiple languages. We're using a crowdsourcing type platform to manage all the different languages that we're going to do. And so finally, all these languages are going to be our websites, the white paper, all the materials, all these tools are going to be finally in languages for all the world. So I think that I'm really excited about, and I think it's and so I want to thank you guys for that. I want to thank you guys for all the patience that you've shown and the belief that you've shown, that you've been doing the translations yourself, and you've been doing everything to grow your businesses but we want to really help you do that. And so we've got this team in London, and it's a phenomenal team. You will see more of them today. And they're working for you. And we're going to have a machine going of translation, and we're going to get this thing really humming. And so that, I think, is something that we can be really excited about. We're going to be able to grow businesses very fast. This idea is something that I just want us to reflect on. That trust is actually its own type of currency, and it's really the most important currency in the world. I mean, think about trust is amazingly powerful in that if you can leverage trust in ways that make things go faster. If you know somebody, you can move faster. And what we want to do, this trust chain, we want to perfect that. People don't talk about a chain of trust, but that is what this business is. That is the blockchain of people, the chain of trust. And so we want to get to become the world's experts on people blockchaining, blockchaining that trust. That is something that I think can be our competitive advantage. And it comes to how we're communicating, but it also comes to our culture. And so I want us to reflect on this idea. The true value of a currency is the culture of people who make up the network. That's not talking about our currency. That's talking about any currency, fiat currency, all that. It's really the culture of the people. I mean, you can say it's the nation state, but what is that? That's people. It's people that are in that country. It's people that are in that region for the European Union. It's that kind of culture. So the true value of a currency is the culture. So we need to if we're going to be blockchain experts in this realm of trust, we need to be creating an amazing culture, and we are creating an amazing culture, and we want to take that to the next level. We want to make it better and better. So how do we create a really strong culture? And I would like to propose that to create a very, very strong culture, you have to build on this idea that it's not about one person, but it's about service. Service to whoever. I mean, think about it in your own businesses. It's the real key is getting someone to understand what we're doing, where we're going. And because there's an incredible opportunity, we've established that. There's an incredible opportunity, and it's that desire to want to share that and want people to understand it. That is a service that you're doing. And it's not about, I think that the right posture is, and this is kind of what we wanted to do with the crypto mission idea, is that you want to share this information and you want them to understand it. And you really we don't need them. It's not a manipulation. It's not like you do that so they do this. You give them information so they do business. It's more just about opening up minds. If we open up their minds, then they're likely to see the truth of what we're doing, the virtues of what we're doing and what this system is. That's why we want to educate, because we think the best educated people are our ultimate customers. The people that understand, the more they understand, the more likely they are to become a customer. And so having this service where we really don't need, we don't need these customers. Customers will come. We don't have to focus on what we're getting back. That's the old paradigm. That's the extraction paradigm. And so that's fading now. We're moving to a different paradigm. But what we do, we're moving to something where it's very inclusive. We want to include everyone in this, in what the potential is for the value that is unrealized right now. So we want to reach out without needing anything back from anyone. That's the service element, and that's how we can create something that's great. You know, if we want to create a great culture, greatness, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, is determined by service. That's what creates greatness. And so we have the opportunity to create something great. And I believe that it's in service that we want to create this. So now how does this translate down to you and running and how you work the business? It really is, we've been in the habit, I think, of wanting to fly the flag. We're very proud of our brands, DasCoin, Net Leaders, and we want to fly that flag and we want people to respect it. But respect is earned. And so we've had, in the communications of the past, there's been a vacuum. And so people have sought ways to fill that vacuum. Creative ways, some ways are great, some ways are not so great. We've been left, it's an open network, we've been left to do things the way we thought best. But I would like us to now move to the next level. And you're going to see this more and more today, the themes of today, that we're not going to just lead with brand, we want to lead with education. We want to educate people. And we want to first do service, cultivate understanding, and then we can share more about what we're doing. But by doing that, it's a much better premise for building this business. To give first and help people to just understand what is going on in this realm, because there's so many great opportunities, and they will miss out. And there's going to be that's really where the danger is here, that people miss out on what's possible, what's coming, and what we can do together. And that's what we want to prevent. That's why we want to reach out, because we want them to be involved with this as well. But at the very least, we want them to open their minds to it. And that's first and foremost. This paradigm shift, I want to just try to get at the idea that, you know, we talk about a paradigm shift. It's a little bit of an abstract, you know, a paradigm shift. So I want to just talk about I want to try to make this come alive in a different way. So, you know, the old way of doing things, has that extractive, manipulative thing. Competition is really important in our old paradigm. And I'm saying the old, it's the present. That's what we're in right now. The power is concentrated. There's an opaqueness. They're not flowing, they're not visible. It's all about quantity. Quantity and it's all about the short term. And you can see that this is what I'm talking about, the incentive systems of the world. And look at any monetary system in the world, that's an incentive system. It's what is inducing behavior? Why do people even want to do anything? Well, they want to make money. Well, how does that work? And you get this whole system of incentives in place. And all of them right now are very short term. And it leads to a lot of problems because we're just thinking short term. And that's really ultimately the problem with the current status quo, is that it's very short term, and that it's every man for himself, or every woman for herself. It's not inclusive, it's not cooperative. And that's why we want to shift it over to what I have there as the new is inclusive, cooperative, distributed. Distribute out the power. That creates much more stability. When you have power just concentrated, it's very unstable. Make things more transparent. We're our best selves when we are in a transparent environment. When things are in the black box, they get messy. Human nature isn't great when it's in a black box. When it's transparent, we can be cooperative and do amazing things. And quality, like rather than quantity. That we think about quality and we think long term. It's about sustainability. And I think something that's interesting about this whole thing is, you know that digital is always about zeros and ones. Zeros and ones, you hear that all the time. And I want to just connect that to paradigms. So the paradigm that I have here as old, it's actually represented by one. You know, it's also represented by I. It's the eyes of the world. It's doing things as one, and when you stack up ones, you know, one's a great number. One's a complete number. But on the other side, that side is represented by zero. Zero is the us in the thing. It's the circle. It's the openness. It's the limitless potential. That's what zero really represents. Some people misinterpret zero and think that's nothing. No, that's the potential for anything and everything. And so that's why, if you know, mathematics, so interesting, the power of zero. And in our world right now, we are only about the power of one. And it's in this digital revolution that we find the power of zero again, and we combine it with the power of one. And together, that ones and zeros is the path to I would say, to real freedom. We can achieve it through the combining of this ones and zeros. We need both. It's actually, it's about balance. And so you need the ones and you need the zero. You need the completeness or the purpose, I would say. The I, the one, it's very purposeful. The zero, we need the power. If you add 0 to 1, you get 10. If you add 2 zeros to 1, you get 100. It's the multiplier. It's the expansiveness. And our whole system is always focused on realized value. Like, our world thinks like an accountant thinks. And accounting is always about what is realized now. And it does not account for potential value. There's massive potential value, especially when people work together. When people work together, all bets are off. The pie does not stay one size. It gets bigger and bigger. We're so used to zero-sum thinking, where it's only so big. But we build with each other. We create and we combine our ideas with technology. We create massive opportunities. Incredible potential begins to be realized. So you combine the ones and the zeros. We want to realize things. We like the one of the world, but we need to add more of this new paradigm. We need to add more of the potential. And that's really what is at the heart of what we're doing here. So in expanding our network, there's really 3 networks, and I want to draw everyone's attention to that. There's the network of technology on which we can organize this whole thing, and we call that DOS Cloud. That's the new term. We wanted to give that a name. And so that's the servers, that's all the nodes in our network, the technology nodes, though, because I think that there's then people nodes. And that's another network. We have the customers and the advocates. That's a very important network of people. So we have a network of technology, a network of people, and then we have a network, ultimately, we have it now, the beginnings of it, but these are, what are termed up there eco partners, the ecosystem partners, and this is an alliance. These are entities, those are institutions, and those are part of an alliance that we are calling DAS International. So when we expand to reach where we want to go, all of these things need to expand. And so you look back at, a year ago, and look at where we are now, and look what's happening. And we're going to have some reflection on that. John Preto is going to take us through the year in the past. But to really get to where we're going and to imagine, we've grown a ton in a year since the last one in Dubai, last time we were here. But now we want to focus on what's the next year. Imagine how, Rania was here last year and she walked into this room and she's like, oh my God, you guys have grown a lot since she had hosted last year. And yeah, we have grown a lot. Rania is right. And I think it's really important to recognize that this year we were just getting all these systems in place. Now, as we're talking about, coming out of the fourth quarter here, we're going to have all the systems in place. We're going to finally have that communication game down, and we're going to have these new tools coming. So I want us to start to imagine what's going to be like. Where are we going to be this time next year? And so I want to go through just a few things that are on the way. So one of them is this, what we call DAS Foundation. It is in the process right now of being established, and it has incredible mission to continue and build on the beginnings of what we're doing in our business, but to take it then to the next level. And we're going to get deeply involved in the whole realm of land registry, we're going to put up blockchain technology for countries, and we're going to help them, and we're also going to take on, that foundation is going to be working with nations around the world in restoring land, so taking unusable land and applying really innovative restoration. Yeah, it's really powerful. Because we want to make this whole thing better, and this foundation is going to be at the heart of what we're going to be doing, and you're going to see this play a role. We have some very big plans on this. I wish I could talk about, I want to get into that, but that's a 2018 thing, but it's happening right now. We're forming it, and there's some really amazing people that we're working with on this already, and so lots to share on that, but it's a really important part of who we are. Now, of course, we're going to have, I've already committed to it, we're going to have this happen. DasCoin is going to be traded on public exchanges in 2018. Yes. It's going to be, we're building that market. We're building that market up. We're going to have the deep vault contracts. That's something that's going to be going live in 2018. We're going to have the DAS Pay launch. That's a big thing that's happening. Yes. Network services are going to be launched. We built out this enormous network, and now these cycles are going to be usable for the services on this network. That's part of what we're doing. So voting nodes. So people of a certain level of holding will be voting in the system on different proposals. This is an ecosystem that is made up of, it's a democratic ecosystem. So there will be votes on what to bring in, what changes to make. So it's a very vibrant environment that we're going to be creating, and we need to hear voices. We're going to have this platform can be used for all manner of ICOs. All manner of ICOs. And we'll have the first ones happening next year. So these are both utility tokens, which are definitely a new realm of, they're not a security, they're not a commodity, they're not a currency. They function as, they have their own function within a system. And so there's a lot of really interesting ways that we're going to leverage the utility tokens. And then there's also even security tokens. So security tokens are less of a new thing. They're more of kind of the old system that we had. They're for the realm of accredited investors, which I think that there's a place for that, and we're working with some very interesting people about unlocking, essentially tokenizing illiquid assets on our blockchain and on our platform. And so we want to play both sides of that. We do believe that the real story is in security tokens is in utility tokens, because that's opening things up to non-accredited investors. And so we think that, that realm is where anybody, can put any amount of money in. It's not restricted to a certain level of wealth. And if you ask me, that's one of the problems that we have in the current system is this idea of accredited investor. That's taking all the most interesting realms of possibility for capital appreciation, and you're limiting it to people that already have a certain level of capital. And the idea is that you're protecting, the state is saying, you can't afford to lose this money, so we require this amount of wealth before you can even get involved in that. Well, that perpetuates, because then you lock out people from participating in things that could become accredited investors by participating in these things, but they're not allowed. So that's an example of how the current incentives are lined up. When I talk about how incentives are lined up, that's one right there that I think it's not optimized. Why is it that it's that way? Well, it's because it's been that way, but it can be changed. And that's where we want to open up opportunities where you don't need to be an accredited investor. These ICOs are it's not a security. We're not talking about a security. This is a whole different realm, but it has a function. And so there's really, Blair Baker is going to go over some of how we're looking at some of these realms. And then we're going to also have an expansion of our network. Our network is going to grow so fast in this year that other businesses are going to want to share in our community. We have a community, and that's a way of leveraging the strength of our network. We also are going to be having we're calling DOS chains. These are other blockchains that are working on our platform. Those are going to be very powerful, and Blair is really going to be focusing on that in his talk today. Terry will be talking a bit more about the ICOs, but we're going to really do we have that consortium model is so optimized to run very cost effectively dedicated blockchains for an array of wide spectrum of different applications, of different things. And so Blair will get into that. There's some just really exciting stuff with that. Some business and consumer apps, we're going to launch those. So that's going to be really an interesting realm next year. And then some research. We're doing a lot of research, and we're doing it through various different groups, but focused a lot on the Long Finance and Michael Manelli out of London. That's going to continue. We're partnering with Cardano in a great effort on research. We believe we want to be a part of the forefront. We want to be at the forefront in this whole realm. Now, interesting thing about a lot of people always are pulling out the quantum computing issue, and that's kind of almost one of those things that's thrown around at a cocktail party that, oh, all this cryptocurrency is great, but what about quantum computing, and how could that ruin that party? We have the ability to respond very quickly that's the way our governance model works. We have a lot of more deployment control than an open system. And so actually, as we've been doing some preliminary work in this realm, we will be doing some formal work, and quantum proofing is a very real, it's actually a very probable path So after the research that I've done so far, we are going to be very assured of a quantum-proof future. So there's quantum computing, but there's also quantum-proof encryption. And that's what we're going to be doing research on in this coming year. And we're going to have algorithms that use techniques like lattice encryption is one of the techniques that make it really that the computational power of quantum computing is not effective against. So just again, securing the future. We have the model that will secure our future. So I think that's really important. And so I want to just end on this idea of what it is that we are really doing here. You know, what is the final vision of where we're going? And it is all about creating this a new way of being. It is a better way. We've been talking about a better way. There is a better way that allows everybody that's participating in a system to be treated fairly, to have the right, has opportunities to prosper and benefit from the system. And that's not our heritage. Our heritage is we were born into systems that were very centralized and had agendas that were not inclusive. And I think that it's a really remarkable moment in history that we can work together, and technology is our friend in this. It's the way we can band together globally, all over the world, create a new system that does not need the blessing of a government. We create this new system, and we can even include the governments, and that's our plan, to include the governments. We don't want to exclude. It's an inclusive model. But the point is that we don't need someone to stamp it, rubber stamp it, give us their permission. We can create this ourselves. And that is something that is truly empowering for everyone in the world. And right now, this nucleus of people in this room right now, this is the leaders that are taking this message to the world. And I really, really want everyone, today is all about getting further understanding of all that's there. There's a lot here. There's a lot to learn. But the truth of it is that we're really making it a better world for us and everyone else in it. And so I really want you to think about that as we're going through the day. We have some incredibly exciting stuff to share. I'm really, even the next, we got some good stuff coming right up right now. So I want to thank everybody very much. My pleasure.